Hi, my name is Sammy, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the historic structures here on the Gibbs Farm site, and that is the White Barn. We believe the White Barn was built in the late 1880s, but likely there was another barn structure of some kind here before that point because Heman Gibbs was a market gardener and would have needed a barn structure of some kind. And then we do have reason to believe that the barn was rebuilt again in the early 1900s, and that was probably done by Rudolph Fisher, who is Abby Gibbs Fisher's husband. They were the last two to live on this farm, and Abby Gibbs was Jane and Heman's daughter. And when they rebuilt it, we think they added a foundation and then just kind of rebuilt the structure. In this 1890s photo of Jane Gibbs standing in front of the White Barn, you can see that the foundation hasn't been added yet. You'll see a lot of different outbuildings, including what appears to be a chicken coop kind of attached to the south end of the barn. That's no longer there anymore, and some other buildings as well. In this circa 1890 photo of the White Barn, you see a young woman standing outside the barn with two large horses and a wagon. We're not actually sure which side of the barn this is on. It's a bit hard to tell. It could be the north or south end. Either way, today we only have those large doors on the north end of the barn. And then the woman in this photo we believe may be Effie Gibbs, and that was Frank Gibbs' wife. So with the rebuild of the barn, we think that Fisher added the second floor, or at least more of a second floor than there would have been originally, and that would have served as a hay and straw loft for those bales. And then the lower floor has animal pens in it and some other storage spaces. And we also know that Rudolph parked his market garden truck inside of the lean-to part of the barn. Today, the second floor of the barn is used for our candle dipping program at field trips and camps, and then is also used for storage of larger items in the Ramsey County Historical Society collection. And the ground floor of the barn has a chicken coop in it that we use today, has storage for our garden tools and other implements. It's also where we put our animal feed and bales of straw and hay for the season. A fun family story involving the White Barn has to do with Abby Gibbs Fisher and her husband Rudolph Fisher. So Abby, she was not a fan of new inventions like electricity, and so she refused to add it into the farmhouse. But Rudolph, he kind of was interested in it. And so one year for Christmas, he gifted her an electric iron, hoping that she would allow him to get electricity in the home. This was probably the 1930s or so, maybe early 1940s. But she decided just to go and iron her clothes out in the White Barn because it did have a bit of electricity that Rudolph used for his farming implements, so his plan didn't really work very well for him. In this later photo from the 1960s, you can see that the barn is now taller after the addition of that foundation about 60 years earlier. And then you can also see that the red barn that we have on site that was built in 1959 is actually in its original location, which was in front of the White Barn on the south side, and it has now moved 90 degrees, and if you don't know, was recently renovated last winter. In 1974, both the Gibbs farmhouse and this White Barn were added to the National Register of Historic Places. Thanks for watching and learning a little bit more about the Gibbs Farm site today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to Ramsey County Historical Society.